cheesecake. So we're going to talk about Parve cheesecakes. We're going to talk about a very common shaila today about stuff that look like milk or look like meat, but isn't milk or meat, and it's actually very common today. You could have soy products that are either milk or flesh, not milk or flesh, but either you would think they are cheese and it's not, or you would think, or soy milk or almond milk or all kinds of other kinds of milks. And then you can have soy products that look like meat, look like chicken more, I guess.
Cheeseburger that's completely parve.
Right, cheeseburger is completely parve. So what's the status of this food? So you look at me like, what's the problem? Yeah. It's completely parve. So there's halacha like this. The Mechaber says, the Ramah says, "V'nogu lasis cholav mishkedim," nogu to make milk from almonds. Mnichem b'basar oif. I don't know exactly how this concoction looked, but they would have almond milk product with pieces of chicken in it. Okay, and it seems like it was even cooked together. I don't know. And hoil ve'einu rak midrabanan, since it's only midrabanan, so it means like this: since chicken is only midrabanan, the Ramah says, so you could do that. But if you would have meat pieces in it, then you should put next to the milk some almonds. Charles what it means, next to the milk, in the milk. Somewhere you should put the almonds, so people should realize that this is almond milk and not regular milk. So in other words, it's a commercial as well. In dam, the halacha by dam is that you're not allowed to eat blood, but dam dogim is actually mutter. Dam of fish is mutter. But if you eat dam of fish, people are going to think you're eating regular blood. So you have to have the kaskas, you have to have some of the scales there that show what it is. So here also, you can eat, you can make, to be more exact, you can make this concoction of almond milk and meat as long as there's some almonds there so it's clear what it is. So that's the Ramah. Now we have this again. The halacha says like this: Asur lavashel b'cholov isha, cholov of a woman. You're not allowed to cook. Now, cholov of a woman is kosher. It's kosher milk. Cholov of a woman, but it doesn't have a din of basar b'cholov. So, but you're not allowed to cook with that milk. Mipnei maharas ayin. Nafal will say chatav shel bottle. Now, just to give a little background. Now, I would think just for reading the last Ramah that it's a nice thing. It's a maharas ayin. It looks like there's a little milk and meat, and therefore you have to put the almonds there to show it should be more clear that it's not milk and meat. But here he uses a stronger lashon. He says you're not allowed to cook it. Asur vashel b'cholov isha because maharas ayin. And the Mechaber says that if it falls into a tavshel, bottle ve'in sorach shir. In other words, if this milk cholov isha falls into a cholent, so it's bottle, you don't even need shishim. It's bottle. Now, bottle means that if it's not bottle, it's asur. So Rabbi Akiva Eiger seems to learn, he's going on the Taz over here, I don't know, Mechaber. He says, Im ira b'mezid b'tav shel asur, loy u'mishnatz ken b'shviloi. So just like other bittul in the world, if I'm a vatal, l'chatchila, since I'm not supposed to cook with this fake milk with meat, so if I do cook with this fake milk on meat, l'chatchila, if I do it lahedya, b'mezid, it's asur to eat. I can't eat this food. For me and for anyone that it was cooked for. Anyone else that it wasn't cooked for, they could eat it, like Shabbos. If you cook on Shabbos, so you're not allowed to use it, or anyone who made it for is not allowed to use it, but anybody else could use it. So same over here. If you cook this soy, we'll call it soy milk with meat, so you're not allowed to cook. And if you cook it, Mikvega says the tashel becomes actually asur to eat for you or anyone who was made for. Now that could be a little more of a problematic today.
That would include like parve margarine and stuff?
So I saw about margarine. we'll get to it. Hey, we'll get to it in a moment. We'll get to it. So,
that means that it actually looks like milk. For example, there's curry dishes that are prepared with coconut milk, but it's like a jello sauce. It doesn't look like milk.
It doesn't look like milk. It has to look like milk. Because the whole issue is marasayin. It has to be a good enough imitation that people will confuse it with milk.
When it has to look like milk, and when you're putting it together, or the cooked dish looks like.
That's actually in question. This was bothering me. Once you cook it in the meat, it doesn't look like milk anymore.
Yeah.
It's for that matter, it's bottled. But it seems that since you cooked with it and you weren't supposed to cook with it, it became usr. So now the question is like this. Let's go back to the main question here. What's the issue? Is the issue to cook? Is the issue to eat it together? What's the issue? So the Shach learns, he says there can't be, there's no such thing as the issue to cook. To cook together this milk with this meat. There's no such thing, it's not usr. The whole issue is to eat it. If you cook in order to eat and then you end up eating it, that's the issue. But there's no issue to actually cook it. And he says, when Ramah says you have to put the almonds there, he means afterwards when you're eating it. By the table you should put almonds there. But it doesn't mean b'shas you're cooking it. It says, well, you're going to put it on the edge of the pot, and you're going to put almonds there while you cook. Can't be.
What about if you know there's no Mara sign? Nobody's coming to your house.
Well, if nobody's looking. So we'll get to that also. But Pashtus, the Isser Marasayan always applies even b'chadri chadarim. So once there's Isser Marasayan, you can't even do it when nobody's looking. Now, we'll see it's not necessarily true over here. We'll get back to it. But
does the placement of the almonds take away the Isser Marasayan?
Takes away the Isser Marasayan.
So you can eat it then?
So then you'll be able to eat it. If you cook it properly, then you'll be able to eat it. So then the question is, I cooked it properly, and now I can eat it without the almonds? Or I need the almonds to eat it? It's very unclear here in the halacha what we're discussing. We're discussing the cooking. The Lashon Machab is also lavashel. But we're discussing the eating, and this is actually seems to be a big issue in the Achronim. So the Shach says the Lashon lavashel is lav dafka. Doesn't mean that. But all the other Achronim seem to learn the issue is actually in the cooking. Like we see in Rabbi Kiveger, if you actually cook it, it actually becomes usr. Rabbi Kiveger learns. So we see the issues in the cooking. So, and now the issues in the cooking is only, obviously has to have all the halachas of cooking. So if it's, let's say, kavush or something that's not cooked, you wouldn't have the problem. The issue is lavashel, to make it a cooked product. So according to that, that part, if the issue is in the cooking, so it's not as common today to cook together milk and meat. But you could make a cheeseburger with soy cheese or something on the burger, and that will be that will go into our shiloh before if it's roasted together, if that's the issue of cooking. And I saw shiloh in that. If it's roasted, you have to be machmer only for bishul, because there's a machlokes if tzli has the issue Torah. If not, it's only a drabanan, and there's a marasayin on a drabanan, which could fit into what the Ramah says that you're allowed to do it with chicken. Ramah says you could make cholav mishkedim and put chicken in there, because since chicken is only drabanan, so there's a marasayin on a drabanan, and that would be mutter. So Ramah is saying the whole marasayin applies to a daraisa, it doesn't apply to a drabanan. So any case which you can make a drabanan will be mutter, which may take care of some of our problems.
So then you have like the opposite situation. You have like these hamburgers with real cheese, but they're fake meat.
Right, same thing, right.
But they look the same.
Right, it looks the same, yeah. So the only thing is that the Shach there argues on the Ramah and holds even on the Rabbanan you have marasayin. So it seems that halacha l'maisa, at least on the cooking part, to cook together to make this thing, one has to be careful that it's that you have shkedim or something around which makes it clear. In the shal you could put a sign up, this is a soy, vegetarian-free factory, or something that makes it clear that we're not doing basa b'chalav. That's one issue. So there's an issue actually cooking together to make this soy burger or something, if it looks like it's basa b'chalav. Now, there are those that argue, especially in Israel, they say that if it's very common, it's something which is very common, there's no issue. So for example, he was asking about margarine. I saw times over Yashiv, said, well, margarine looks like butter. I guess 100 years ago, they used to eat butter, the margarine with butter, But today, everybody knows it's margarine. It's something which is quite clear, and there's no shaila in that. So today, margarine is very clear. It's margarine. If somebody sees you eating margarine, they don't think for a minute that it's butter. So, especially for cooking, it's very, very common to cook with margarine. So nobody's going to see you put the margarine in the meat, whatever you put it in. Nobody's going to think that it's a shaila basa b'cholov. So anything which is common, anything which is done, doesn't have the yisur basa b'cholov.
Some margins are milk.
What?
Some margins.
Some margins are milchik.
And how are they going to differentiate between the milchik one and not the milchik
But
one?
there's no marasayim. If you get one that's not milchiks, there's no marasayim because people know. So.
Nowadays it's very common to have like soy milk.
Oh, so the question is, how common now is the soy milk and the thing? How common is it? So as far as a milk product, it is a little bit common now. And I don't know how common it is. If you see a guy eating a bowl of cereal, do you think he's using soy milk? I mean, how common is the soy milk or almond milk really when it comes to these things? So this is not so clear. It's not so clear that it's so common. In Eretz Yisrael, it's common to make schnitzel from soy. In America, it's not so common. I mean, how many people do it? They're vegetarians, but the ones they make, you could see very clearly that it's soy. Some of them, and the other ones, it's not as common as that. So if you have, the Franks and Blanks, and they're soy, not so clear that it's you put cheese on it. Cheese, Franks and Blanks. I don't know. I don't know if it's so common over here on this side of the world, and it could be that. So it's more common that place, can I say? So again, it depends on how common and normal this thing is. Would it be a problem of marasayin? But that's the marasayin in a bishul. According to Rabbi Kiveger, the marasayin in a bishul will actually aser the food. So if there is a marasayin in a bishul and you actually cook with it, even though after the cooking, now if after the cooking it's very nicker, you still have a problem. But even if it's not so nicker, if you did it lehedya, it seems that it's actually aser, the tavshul, and you can't use it. So if you're making it such food, you have a problem. But that seems to be a little bit of a chiddush. But halacha l'maisa, one has to be careful for that.
That's lechedia.
What's what?
Lechedia.
Lehedia. You put it straight in. If you put it straight in, it wasn't falling. You put it in. So according to Mikvego, it actually asked the food. So that's a real issue. Now, this is in the cooking. In the eating of the food. So if you have cooked burger with cheese or something like that, and one of them is fake, so then you get into the shiloh again. If you can't eat it, you have the same problem. You can't eat bas b'chol. But the question is, okay, maybe that's not as common. But the question which is more common, okay, is eating on the same meal one food that's meat and one food that's soy. I bought a cup of soy milk. I have a cup of milk. I have my coffee with milk in it. I put soy milk in. I put whatever the creamer is, and I'm having a piece of meat. So, in other words, in halacha, it doesn't seem that would be a problem, because the only problem we have here is something which would be medaraisa problem, and that's if you cook it together. But something that's not cooked together, who cares? It's just two separate foods, and just because I'm eating them together at the same time. So if it would be real milk and meat, we don't do that. But if it's fake, maybe it's not a problem at all.
But
it's still married.
Because marasayin is only on a deraisa, but the rabbanon doesn't seem to marasayin. Now, just to get back to what you mentioned before, which I forgot to get back to that. So yes, what about I do it in my home? Nobody's looking. Why is there marasayin? So normal things we say this marasayin applies no matter where you do it, even if nobody's looking. But there are shittas here that say by oif, since the Ramah says that milk and chalav shkedim and oif together, since that's only a marasayin on a drabanan, that's mutter. The Ramah says mutter. The Shach argues says it's aser. So a lot of poskim say these kind of things you're allowed to do in private. It's only where it's more open and there's people around that you should put a sign up or put something up there that makes it clear what it is. Bari Shulchan doesn't like a sign, but Moshe says, okay, you can put a sign.
And for example, if you go to a vegetarian restaurant, it's clear that it's vegetarian.
Right, so that's a good shaila. If it's clear it's vegetarian, everybody knows it's vegetarian, so maybe that suffices for a sign. Right, they know that they can't bring meat in there. The government will shut them down if it's a vegetarian place and you got meat. So it's very clear that that's.
Or at a simcha.
But would that
And
also...
Simcha is a public place. How do you know what it is?
So, but if they put creamer out the tables, they don't.
Oh, so let's get to that.
But
So
like in the vegetarian restaurant, would that also take away the prohibition to cook together? Because
could
they
be
are
also, yeah. It could be. It's like it's clear. It's very clear what it is.
Well, somebody,
Everything is
you
clear
know
what it
they're
is.
very strict vegetarian.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know. It's still Marasayan.
People know, they haven't guessed. They know, the guests know these are very serious
Yeah, I
vegetarians.
don't know if that's enough.
And if you're
I
going
don't know
to
if
see
that's
something,
enough.
you're going to realize it's not the way you see. Because
yeah.
they won't have meat and milk.
Yeah, I don't know if that's enough. You know, if it's a restaurant,
Like
that's
a
public
restaurant.
notice. That's public notice. This is not public notice.
No, it's public to the people who are.
If you know it's public. If you don't know, it's not public. It's not public. It's public. But yeah, so that works for the cooking. But now when you get to the eating, Aval Bikain, it seems that in the Paiskim and the Knesset Doyle and others, that they say the problem exists even in eating. So even if I'm having a meal, you know, Shulchan Aruch is very unclear about that. But even if I'm having a meal and I'm having schnitzel and I want to have a cup of soy milk, so they say it shouldn't be on the same table at the same time. In other words, if I want to have, it used to be ice cream. Today there's a lot of Parve ice creams. But before all the Parve ice creams came out, so let's say you would have a meal and then you bring out ice cream at the end. 1 second, you just had meat, now you're having ice cream. So if you're having it at the same time, that's when the question comes up. If you're having one after the next, that's not a shiloh already. It's not a shiloh. That's mutter. Even if people think it's ice cream, it's only Marasayan on a harchaka, so that's okay. So today the ice cream is not a shiloh anyways because everybody knows it's Parve ice cream. It's a very common thing, Parve ice cream. For that matter, creamer and coffee is very common. So everybody knows you have a coffee in there. How do you know it's milk? Maybe it's creamer. It's a very common thing. So anything which is common, every chasana they have creamer out there, right? So it's a very common thing. So that doesn't consist of a problem. But something which is not so common and not so clear, a cup of milk. I don't know how many people drink straight cups of almond milks, so it's not so common. So if you're having that in the middle of your suit of meat, so then you have a shiloh of marasayin. So according to these paiskim, which we're not like, you shouldn't have it in the same meal on the table, same time when you're eating it, unless you actually have some kind of hecker out there.
The container.
A container there would be a hecker, right? The container out, you put something there which makes it clear where this product came from. Or if you're having schnitzel that looks exactly like chicken and it's really soy, so you put a piece of the box out there or something that everybody could see what it really is. But otherwise, you have this issue of marasayan. So these things could be common today. You could have this, you have a lot of soy burgers or things like that. And you have to be aware there is an issue of marasayan. Now, in such a kind of case, most poskim say, since it's not so clear cut that it's aser, it could be it's only aser where there's people around. But if it's private, if you're having your own meal when nobody's around, it could be makel. Because again, many shittas hold it doesn't apply. It only applies to something that's cooked together. So if it's not cooked together, it's not, especially if it's chicken, then you have the Ramah, who's not a problem anyways. So then, for sure, if there's nobody around, you could be makel. But if there's people around, and we're doing it more in a public oifen, that could be more of a concern.
And does this Isser of Maris Ayin apply generally to things which appear like something which is Usser? Let's say like they have like this soy bacon, let's say.
That's an excellent question. It's a good question. It's actually a good question. I don't know the answer, because I saw that there are cases where we say, you can't make up your own Maris Ayin. Just because a guy thinks I'm doing something wrong doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong. But others say, well, it depends. If it fits into the guidelines over here, maybe it could. So he's asking if you have, bacon that's fake, but it looks like a real one, then maybe if I eat it, the guy's going to think I'm eating it. It will be a shiloh marasayin. It's a good shiloh. That's a good question. Now, people ask me, am I allowed to go into a McDonald's, to get a coffee or something like that? So, not discussing the coffee, I'm discussing the people thinking that you're going in to buy a burger. So is there a question of Maris Ayan? See, that's not a shiloh of Maris Ayan, really, They sell coffees who said I'm not allowed to walk in to get a coffee just because some other guy wants to think that I'm going in to buy a burger. Why should he think that? I'm a good Jew. Why should he think that I'm walking? Okay, if he sees me walking in without my yarmulke, so maybe he has what to be chayshish for. But, what?
People go in these places to use the washroom.
People go in to use the washroom. So, because another guy is going to make up in his mind something about me, that's not Maris Ayan. But here, there's something which inherently looks like something that's also, and I'm eating it. So the question is, would it fit into this Hagdara? This is actually a good question. It could be it would. But others say, no, whatever we don't find straightforward is not necessarily also.
What about dairy equipment? If the soy milk is dairy equipment, can that be?
It's real dairy equipment.
Hmm?
The question is, this is a very good question. It probably needs a share by itself. What the halach is with dairy equipment food? It's a very good shaila and a common shaila. And generally speaking, we don't use dairy equipment food to cook with meat. But the question is to eat it separately. It varies exactly what it means when it says on the packaged dairy equipment. Some dairy equipment is actually not really milchitz at all. And some dairy equipment could actually make the product some form of milchix. Now, the form of milchix may only be, is only a nat bar nat, and therefore it's not really a problem. It doesn't make you milchix when you eat it. But the question would be to eat it together with the fleshix, right?
But eating it afterwards.
Eating it afterwards is not a
problem.
shaila at all. Yeah, you can eat it afterwards. But eating it together with the fleshix, sometimes it could be a problem. But a lot of times they write dairy equipment doesn't mean that it's really milchix. It's just in factories they have to be chayshish for a lot of, if they did one run of milchix and whatever it is, they have to be chayshish just for the. They don't want to get sued if someone has an attack for having lactose or whatever it is. But dairy equipment could be a shower. But if treated afterwards, it would be okay. Yeah. So getting back to the cheesecake, if you want to have on Shavuos, you have a fleshig meal and you want to have Parve Cheesecake. So it's a good question. Depends how real this Parve Cheesecake looks. If it looks good, it looks real. So
one from
I guess, so if it's real good, geschmack cheesecake, and it's on Shavuos, and everybody thinks you're having a real cheesecake, so you might want to have it after you move the meat from the table. So if you want to have it for dessert, after you remove the meat from the table, so that's okay. That's okay, because you're having it afterwards, it's not at the same time. If you're having it at the same time on the table with the fleshiks, so that could be a cause for concern, according to the Sheriff Abdul and others, that are machmer not to have milk and these things. There is a Maris Ayan on it. Now, if you have chicken, then you get into the Shiloh of Amor, which could be, if you're eating yourself, you're okay, but if you're having guests and others, then you should probably clear off the table. Being that cheesecake is the dessert, that would be not such a big deal. but that's something you have to be aware of. So that's another halacha that applies to Basa B'Cholav. Now, I will say like this, just to end this off, that, before we get into Shavuos again, but just to end this off, that when we talk about milchiks and fleshiks and keeping a separation, there is a problem of halal on a table to have milchiks and fleshiks on the same table. Even if I'm only eating one, if I'm eating just milchiks or I'm eating just fleshiks, but you can't have it on the table when you eat just one. It's a halacha. So even if the food is not cooked, so many times, for example, my wife will be cooking Erev Shabbos and have stuff on the table, and I'll sit down to have something, a cup of coffee or something, milchiks. That's a problem. You can't have milchiks and fleshiks on the same table. Now, most of us are noig to put a tablecloth. So a tablecloth under one of them would serve as a hecker. So either you put a placemat under what you're eating, or you'll put something under the chicken or the whatever's being made fleshiks. But there is, especially on the counter, this could happen. You could have milchiks and fleishiks next to each other on the counter. You don't usually eat off the counter. It's not as big as a problem, but you can have ala shulchan milchiks and fleishiks together when you're eating one, and that's a harchaka we make. Even two separate people eating. If I'm having lunch and you're having lunch, and I have a chicken sandwich and you have a cheese something, so we can't eat together on the same table.
If you're eating one, if you're eating both, it's okay.
I'm eating milk.
You
They have
said when
fleishiks.
you're eating one. No, this is milk flesh completely, not the Mars Ayan.
Yeah.
What if you
Right.
put a mechitz in between?
Yeah, so you can put a hecker. You have to make a hecker in between that reminds you that it's two separate meals. You're not going to eat from them.
What?
You can put something in between. Put something in between you that will make a hecker. Or you can use a placemat, or you can use something to separate. But there's a hachaka to separate the milchiks and fleishiks together.
And treifas? Your work, and is it the same thing, or is it different?
I think it's different because treifas we're not choishes you're going to eat.
Right.
Right. But there is a halacha of yeah. I don't think it's the same.
What
Check that,
what
yeah.
does it mean, hacker?
Hecker is something to make like a sign to recognize that it's separate. So
Demarcation.
that means you could put anything there. You could put a
Like a container?
a container, anything that you're not going to use by the Suda, you're not going to eat, you're not going to use, you could put there, and that serves as a hecker.
And what does it mean, hacker?
Chaka means the separation, to keep away, not to eat milchiks and fleishiks. So I find it a little hilarious. A lot of times I go to Sobeys, and some people just put the chicken and the milk together in the same box, but most of them know not to. But then you get people that ask, like, could I put the milk together with the apples, or the meat together? They're very nervous. I guess they see me, they get scared. Maybe they're boxing it together in the wrong thing. But if they're in containers, no isser. There's no problem. If they're in containers, no isser. Good. So maybe the chicken has grease on it. Be careful. But be'etzem, anything that's boxed or it's in a container, there's no problem. But if it's separate, you might come to eat it. That's a problem. Milchiks and fleishiks. Okay, we'll go a little to Shavuos, just as a preparation. Yeah.
What does it mean? Like you said, I think bar, not bar.
Not bar not. Yeah, that's not bar not means like this. Not bar not means that I'm not allowed to cook with a fleishik pot milchiks or milchik pot fleishiks, right? But let's say I cook noodles in my fleishik pot. Okay, so the noodles are fleishiks. I cook them in fleishik pot. Now I want to put cheese on the noodles. So what's happened is like this. The noodles really got a taste from the fleishiks, not direct. The meat went into the pot, which then went into the water and went into the noodles. So we consider that a noising tam, not as a noising tam, bar noising tam. So it's like a step removed. Because first the tam went into the pot, then the pot went into the noodles, and now the noodles are going into the cheese, or the cheese is going into the noodles. So it's once removed. So that's a sugya, what you do and when you don't do. We call it, the Gemara says, dogim sholu b'kairos, the fish that came in the plate, so you're not supposed to eat it together with milk, but that's a noising tam, bar noising tam. So that's, many of the shilos of milchiks and fleishiks go under that category. And the logic would be that it's such a shvacha tam, such a already removed taste, that it can't become basar b'chalav anymore. It can't become basar b'chalav. But there are guidelines to that. Not by not.
And Ben Yom was enough.
Even a ben yoimai, if there ain't a ben yoimai, then
It's even.
then it's better, right? But even a ben yoimai could be, it's not a strong enough taste that could become basar b'chalav. That's the concept of not by not. So anything that's made in milchig kalim, it's already made. Now the question is how it's made, through bishul or through tzli. There's all kinds of guidelines to this, but anything that's made in milchig kalim is already a noisen tam, bar noisen tam. By the time you're going to connect it with the fleishiks, and mikra adin, it won't make it usher. So it's not by that. Okay, Shavuos. Shavuos is one of the most interesting holidays for a number of reasons, but for one reason being that it doesn't even have a day of the year. as both holidays will come out. Pesach comes out on the 15th day of Nisan, and Sukkot also, and Rosh Hashanah is the first day, and every day has a holiday. But Shavuos, the Gemara says, could either come out on Hey Nisan, Vav Nisan, or Sivan. Hey Sivan, right? Vav Sivan, or Zayin Sivan, because it's 50 days from the second day of Pesach. Now, at the time they were Makadosh the moon, right, with Alpiriya, so there are 2 months that you have leeway here. You could, right? You have Nisan and Iyar. You have 2 months between. Actually, Nisan already started. You have Iyar and Sivan. So you have Rosh Chodesh Iyar. The month of Nisan could either be 29 or 30 days, and the month of Iyar could either be 29 or 30 days. So if both months are 29 days, then Shavuos is going to come out on Zion. Okay, which is actually the day that the Torah was given on Zion. We'll get back to that. And if both months are 30 days, then Shavuos is going to come out on Hay, right? Because both months it's 2 days later, so Shavuos will come out on Hay. And if 1 month is Mole, 1 month is Chasser, like we do today, our calendar has 1 day Mole, 1 day Chasser. So then, right, Nisan is Mole, and Iyar is Chasser, right? The other way around. Iyar is Chasser, right? So we only have 1 day Rosh Chodesh now. So then Shavuos always comes out on Vav. But the reason why it comes out on Vav is because that's how our calendar is set up today. But in reality, there is no specific day for the holiday of Shavuos. Shavuos goes after 50 days of the Sfiras Ha'omer. So, first of all, that's a Chiddush. That's a Chiddush.
But Matan Torah was on...
Matan Torah, what happened by Matan Torah was that Hashem said 3 days to Matan Torah. So Moshe Rabbeinu decided on 3 days means the third day will be Matan Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu decided, wait a second, no good. Klal Yisrael's not ready, we need another day. So Moshe Rabbeinu was Hoysef Yamecha Midaita, whatever the reason the Gemara goes on Cheshbon, because of Keri, if they were Tamei, all Shtikl Torah. But the point is, Moshe Rabbeinu added on another day, and Hashem was maskim, was one of the Shloisha Dvarim that Moshe Rabbeinu did, that Hashem was maskim to him, and Matan Torah was given a day later. So whereas Matan Torah was supposed to be given on Vav, according the way it came out then, according to most Cheshbonis, it was actually given, which would have been Friday. It actually was given on Shabbos, which was Zion. In those days, Rosh Chodesh was Aleph for Sunday, and it was actually given on Shabbos. Kol Yom Shabbos nit the Torah. The Torah was given on Shabbos. So I'm not sure exactly what day of the month it was, but according to the Gemara, Moshe Rabbeinu pushed it off a day. And the Magen Avraham says, Mikan Remez LeYom Tov Sheini Shel Golius, because us in Golos we keep 2 days Shavuos. So the real Matan Torah really comes out on the second day Shavuos, because it comes out on Zion, whereas where it comes out not just on Zion, it comes out on a day later from the Sfiras Ha'omer, and then we actually do it. So it was pushed off. Maharsha says this is an amazing thing. I mean, it comes out that we're celebrating Matan Torah on Yom Chamishim when it was given a day later.
So what's the
Torah says the 50th day after. See, it's a little confusing because before the Torah was given, it never said in the Torah that Shavuos is on the 50th day. But the Torah was only given on Shavuos. So after the Torah was given the next year, that's it. The Torah, Shavuos is on the 50th day. But the Shas Matan Torah it didn't actually pan out that way. So this is a whole discussion in the Minchas Chinuch. There's a whole discussion when it was given, how it was given. To understand how our Shavuos fits in with the Shavuos that happened at the time of Matan Torah.
So what's the more chashuv day? The first day or the second day?
So the first day is the Raisa. The second day is only Rabbanan.
So it's really the first day.
The second day is Rabbanan today. But the point being that if the Magen Avraham is saying that as a remez, really back then Shavuos was given a second day, and that has in the world of Machshava, that has a lot of value, the second day. So what really happened was the Torah given on Shavuos? Maybe not. Maybe Shavuos was really Friday, and the Torah was given on Shabbos, the day after Shavuos, at the time, of the Matan Torah. But L'maisa, practically speaking, what comes out is that Shavuos is really not on a specific day of the month. Shavuos is on the 50th day of the Omer. That's how it comes out. Now, what does it have to do with halacha l'maisa? Does it have any practical applications? So there's a lot of interesting things that people want to do based on this. L'maisa, there's no real practical application. Some want to say, we have a minhag not to make early Shavuos. Like many Yom Tovim, you can make early the first day Yom Tov. You make early, right? So, but the Shavuos, and especially in Canada, you can't start your meal till 10 o'clock. I don't know what time. Kiddush and Mariv and a whole mess. It's late. It makes the night of learning shorter, but it's still quite late to start eating a nice fleshig meal. So that's why do we do it late? Because since it's on the 50th day of the Omer, you want tamimos. The Omer is to count the Omer is supposed to be complete days. So you don't want to cut off the 49th day and make it shorter, because Shavuos is only the 50th day. And if you're cutting it off, you're making it the 49th day. So that fits in very nicely, because Shavuos is not on Vav Sivan. That's not when Shavuos is. Shavuos is on the 50th day of the Omer. If it's on a day of the year, so then you could add on maybe. But if the pshat is you have to reach the 50th count, you can't add on. You make early Shabbos, you can't count Sfiras Omer. You have to wait till the night to count, right? You make Friday night, you can't count. You have to wait till after it gets dark. The Omer goes with the real days. So that would be a svara to say why you can't make Shavuos earlier. You can't make early Shavuos. There's a whole discussion on halach. If you could, you can't. But the minhag is to keep Tamimas and to keep Shavuos and to whether it's Ma'ariv or Kiddush, whatever it is, you start after it's already dark at night. I actually got a call this year from somebody who was traveling to China, and from there he was going to Russia, and from there to Eretz Yisrael. End up in Eretz Yisrael on Shavuos, but the question was a Sfiras Omer question. He's going around the world. He's missing a day. He's actually going to travel, leave. He's going to it will remain 6 o'clock for a couple of very long hours. So he's going to land on the same day in China, but on that day it's going to be the same day that he left. It's going to be it's going to be a day later than he left. So he left on the third. I think he actually left on the 35th day of the Omer, and he was going to land on the 36th day of the Omer, but there was actually no night in between. So there was a question. First of all, what do you do about counting the Omer? Does he miss a day? What does he do? All kinds of questions, right? Because you get there on the 36th day, and then it becomes night. It's the 37th. So what does he count? He only counts at 35. So there, it's not so bad. As soon as he lands, he can count 36 without a bracha. And then the question is, could he count at night 37 with a bracha? It's actually a big shayla in the Poskim. Pashtus, he could. That he tells me, because he's connected a little bit with Lubavitch, that Lubavitch will say that he should come to Eretz Yisrael for Shavuos. Now, according to Lubavitch, he's missing a count. So everybody's counting 37, he's counting 36. Everybody counts 38, he's counting 37. So it comes to Shavuos, everybody's counting 49 the day before, he's still 48. Okay, according to their counting. So we don't go like that. He counts according to everybody else. But anyways, he's counting 48. So now he can't start Shavuos. He can't count Shavuos. So they told him he should keep Shavuos the next day. And on the first day, on Shavuos, first day, so they only have 1 day Shavuos. So second day, which is after Shavuos, he should keep Shavuos. And the day of Shavuos, he's gave all kinds of things he should do, shouldn't do. Not sure exactly what they told him. So the mice is based on a certain shita, which, the mice, it's very difficult to even go like that, because we hold today Sfir Soim as Manazez Drabanan. So how could you say the Shavuos, which is the Raisa, is totally on the Sfir as Manazez Drabanan? It doesn't make any sense. Most places can hold Sfir as Manazez Drabanan, even if you would say such a thing. So Avada, it doesn't go like that. It goes according to where you are, according to what everybody else is keeping. So even though it says Yom Chamishim in Eretz Yisrael, the Yom Chamishim is on Vav Sivan. That's when the Yom Chamishim is in Eretz Yisrael. But Avada, it goes after what the place and the time is, that's Shavuos. But it's still interesting to note that the Yom Tov of Shavuos is really not totally in a specific day of the year. It's totally in the Sfirah Saima, which means that's really totally in the person. It's not totally in the Zman. A person has to make his achana for Matan Torah. He has 50 days from Pesach to make achana, prepare himself for Matan Torah, and as soon as he has the preparation, that's when it's Chal. So that's the Pashas how it works. The Torah never even says, really, we say Yom Matan Torah Seinu. It doesn't even say that in the Torah. It just says in the Torah that you bring the Shtei Alecha, and there's the Korban and Shavuos. So it's one of the amazing things that in the Torah, a lot of things, like even Rosh Hashanah, it says, Yom Teruah says blow the shofar, but it doesn't talk about being a Yom Adid and all that. We know it from Torah Shabbat Peh, that's what it is. On Shavuos, it doesn't even say anything. It just says you bring the Shtei Alechem. You bring the Shtei Alechem. It doesn't say the Torah was actually given on Shavuos. It doesn't say it anywhere. We know it to be true, and we say it in davening, and in the Torah Shabbat Peh. But if you look in the Chumash, you won't find anywhere where it says that's the day the Torah was given.
Some say it was given on Yom Kippur. Isn't it all big mix up there?
The Luchas, they got the Luchas on.
Torah.
Yeah, they got the Luchas on the Luchas Shnias. The Luchas V'Shainas came on Shavuos. The Luchas Shnias came on
But the Luchas V'Shainim didn't matter. They were
still we got the Torah. Even though it was broken, it was the Torah. So the point being that the Shavuos Alma says that we have to remember that the Torah is supposed to be Chadoshim B'chol Yom. Every day, it doesn't matter. You can Kabbalah Torah any day of the year. You can start learning, you can Kabbalah Torah. You don't need the Yom Tov of Shavuos to be Kabbalah Torah. There's a Yom Tov, we make a Yom Tov of Shavuos, but Kabbalah Torah is not dependent on a day. You can only eat matzah on Pesach. You can only, sit in a sukkah on Sukkot. But you can learn Torah the whole year. It doesn't have to be only specifically on Shavuos. There's not so many halachas that we do really on Shavuos as far as halacha. As a regular Yom Tif, you have all the halachas of Yom Tif, but there's no special thing that we do to commemorate anything. We don't eat matzah, we don't sit in the sukkah. Anything we do is different minhagim. But as far as halacha goes, it's just a Yom Tif. It's just a Yom Tif. We brought a carbon. When we had a Beis HaMikdash, we brought a carbon of the Shtei Alechem, which we mentioned. That's why we try to have two breads in the Suda. We mentioned that last week. But that's the only thing that they actually did, was they brought different shlomim from Musaf, and they brought two breads that came along with it. But there's no, aside for the karbanos, there's nothing specific that we do on Shavuos that in the Torah Shabbat that tells us anything about Shavuos. So everything you do on Shavuos is just is not just, but it's a minhag. So you have to bear that in mind. So Akaponim. So there's a I mentioned Shabbos. That there's a halacha of Shavuos that one shouldn't let blood. Shabbos halacha that they don't do hakazah stam. Hakazah stam we don't do today. Most people don't do bloodletting today. They give blood, they donate blood to the Red Cross, but they don't do hakazah stam. Hakazah stam was very, very, very common in the times of even afterwards. They used to let blood. It was a healthy thing to do.
you don't remember this too.
Yeah, it works to lower the blood pressure. It was a very healthy thing. People used to let blood all the time, and they're not supposed to do it every Shavuos. They're not supposed to do it any Yom Tov for that matter. It's halacha because why not? Because there was a shade out there on Erev Shavuos. His name was Tavuach. The name speaks for itself. Shechting, and he was ready to kill anybody that wasn't going to be Makabel Torah. So there was a danger involved, and then the Klai was Makabel Torah, and everything was very good. So it says Kofalem Harkegil because they were forced, but there was a shade out there named Tavuach. It's put down halacha by the way in the Ramah and some Tov Samaches. So every Erev Yom Tov Atu Erev Shavuos, we don't do anything which is a sakana, which is letting blood, which could include any kind of operation or procedure, could be included in that. We're not supposed to do Erev Yom Tov because of this. So the Machzah Shekel says, what does that have to do with today? That was back then in Matan Torah. So it says, because every year we sort of relive what happened. Every year we relive what happened. So the sakana exists every year because we're supposed to be Makabel the Torah again on Erev Shavuos, and so it exists to some degree every single year. So therefore, we don't do anything which which lets out blood, which sort of is ma'ira that concept. So Allah, we're careful about it unless it's sakana or whatever operation a person needs. But otherwise, we stay away from it. So there's a reality to the Kabbalah Torah every year, even though we're not just commemorating. There's actually reality to it. You have this shade Shmoy Tavuach floating around, and you have to be Kabbalah Torah, and it has that halacha. There's a halacha every Yom Tif that there's a mitzvah l'tar atzmai beregel. There's a mitzvah l'tar atzmai beregel, which refers to all the shalosh regalim. A person should become tar, which means to go to the mikveh. So that's a mitzvah every Yom Tif is brought out in Torah. The person should be tar when he goes into Yom Tif, and just like Sukkot and Shavuos and Pesach, Shavuos is one of the shalosh regalim. It's a Yom Tif, and it fits into that category. It's a mitzvah. It's not a chiyuv, but it's a mitzvah. L'tar atzmai beregel. So there was a mikveh on Erev Yom Tif before any Yom Tif.
Even though it doesn't do anything for the matmet.
It doesn't do for Tumas Meis. It only does for Tumah Yotzi Megufay, Tumas Keri, and these things. Tumas Meis doesn't do. There's a minute to stay up the whole night. Stay up the whole night of Shavuos. It's. I'm not going to it by Arichas, but there's a minute to stay up the whole night of Shavuos. The reason, there are many reasons given, but the main reason given is because Klai Yisrael sort of slept in the first night. So to be masakin that, we don't want to sleep in, so we actually don't go to sleep to begin with. We stay up the whole night, and this minute gained a lot of steam, I should say, over the years. There used to be only a few Yechidei Skulos stayed up the whole night. So the minute was always around, but after the famous Maisa with Beis Yosef and it's brought down in the Shlah, so then everybody started doing it, and slowly but surely it became a very prevalent thing to do. There were others that said, look, it messes up our schedule in the day, I can't learn in the day. Moshe Feinstein, I remember, and Yeshiva, he wouldn't get up, he wouldn't get up, he got up an hour earlier, I think, I don't know, instead of 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I don't know what time he got up every morning. He used to get up very early to learn every morning, and he felt if he wouldn't go to sleep, it would ruin his schedule. He wouldn't be able to learn in the day properly, so he just got up a little earlier, and there were people like that. But there are others that are very makbid to stay up. The Arizal said anyone stays up the whole night and is not mevatel, any time, doesn't talk, a sicha b'teila, from the beginning of the night till the end of the night, it's muftach loy that nothing bad is going to happen to him the whole year. So, I don't know. So you have these different minhagim. A shaila comes with Birchas HaTorah and the brachas in the morning. There's a few shailas that come up. So one shaila is the brachas, and another shaila of washing your hands. I didn't look at the schedule what time Alois is, but after Alois, a person, his hands are tamei, even though he didn't sleep at night, you still have to wash your hands in the morning. But there's a whole question you make on Netilas Yadayim, because there are 2 reasons you make it, as it says over there.
4:55.
What?
It says brachas for 4:55
Brachas. What does it say?
on the first day.
Oh, 4:55. Yeah, I don't know how they work that cheshbon out. So, but I have to check what time Alois is. But if one uses the Beis HaKisei, it says like this: there's 2 reasons to wash your hands. If you slept, or even if you didn't sleep, Chadashim Lav Karim. But if you to daven, there's a mitzvah you're supposed to wash your hands to daven. So if you use the Beis HaKisei and you're meshafshef, which means that you wiped off a little with your hands, so your hands got a little dirty, So then there's a mitzvah to wash your hands, and then you can actually wash your hands in the morning with the bracha. You can make al netil sedayim. So if you use the basic case, you can wash your hands and make al netil sedayim in the morning. Birchas HaTorah is a question. If you slept the day before, according to Bikireg, you can make if you slept in the day, in preparation, according to Bikireg, you can make a Birchas HaTorah in the morning. If not, then, if you dozed off at night a little bit, maybe you could. If not, the minhag is to get one person to say it, and everybody's yotze with him, the Birchas HaTorah. If you can't find anyone, you could also have one person say it, and everybody could be yotze with him. And you can make the Birchas HaTorah anyways. And the issues are the Birchas HaTorah, Elekai Neshama, Shenasatimi, and Hanois L'Sech Livina, and Hanois L'Liav Koyach. These brachas through the last bracha. Right.
So the person saying it should say the whole
That bracha, you need to be yotze to that bracha. The other ones you could say yourself.
But they should say it all aloud, because normally they don't say the whole thing aloud. No?
They don't say it aloud? Yeah, they say the whole thing aloud, yeah, but those are the brachas you need to hear. The other ones you could say yourself. You could say yourself, Shloisan Ishas. Yeah, those things you could say yourself. But the ones you have to be yotze are those. L'Kai Neshama, and Nesach Admina, and the last bracha. Right? And Birchas HaTorah, case you can't make Birchas HaTorah, and that's what you have to be yotze. The truth is, you have another problem. If a guy goes to sleep in the day and has a good geschmack of sleep, does he have to make a Birchas HaTorah when he wakes up? If he didn't hear Birchas HaTorah in the morning, then for sure. But if he heard Birchas HaTorah in the morning, the minhag is not to. But that's the thing. But the main thing is, if a guy's staying up at night, there's no mitzvah just stay up at night. So to stay up at night is not a mitzvah. The mitzvah is to learn. So one should be careful when you're learning at night. The people are staying up at night and they're not learning doesn't really serve the purpose. You can stay up for 7 hours and only learn 1 hour. You might as well learn 1 hour and go to sleep for the other 6 hours. But the point of staying up at night is to actually, for the purpose of showing your dedication to Limud HaTorah, to Kabbalah HaTorah. So you stay up all night in preparation and in anticipation to the Kabbalah HaTorah.
I'm going to Shurim counts as learning.
If you learn something, it counts. If it helps. If it's sometimes easier to fall asleep by a shir than to fall asleep when you're learning.
And then you have a problem with the brachas.
I take the last slot, the last hour, because you can't fall asleep saying a shir. You can fall asleep listening, you can't fall asleep saying a shir. So I get the last hour.
I've always had a problem with the whole idea. If you learn, if I stay up all night, which I can't do like I used to, then davening at 5 o'clock in the morning is it's not a solid davening,
Right.
unfortunately. If you don't stay up all night and the next morning the main shul it's a third empty, so it's just not the same davening. So the whole thing of Kifresh Min Tzibur, it's like you're splitting the shul in half. It's always bothered me that.
You should daven in a smaller room. It'll feel full.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. But there is a validity to that. A guy's not going to be able to daven. I know some people stay up till 4 and then they go to sleep and they daven and they daven later. You can't daven. The person has to make sure he's able to daven. It's, part of it is the tefillah. The Baal Shem Tov told his Talmidim that they should be careful not to talk from the beginning of the learning at night until the talk, but not to be mafsik, until the Kedusha in Musaf. The Kedusha in Musaf, there's a whole explanation. The Kedusha in Musaf is like the end, the epitome of the entire night of Shavuos. And I think it's called Nusach Sfard, Kosher Yitna L'cha. That's the Kosher is the Kosher of Torah. That's the end result of the entire thing. So tefillah is definitely part of it. We read the Haftarah on Shavuos morning, the Mara of Yecheskel. The Yecheskel Hanavi saw the Shechina and the Mos. Right? We see it's It's a very holy haftarah, which it says you're supposed to do standing up. The question is, people listening should be standing up, or it's only one saying it has to do standing up. Anyone's the one saying stands up. Could be even people listening should stand up. It's a good idea to stand up. It's less chance of falling asleep. But it's these are it's a holy night, and what a person could be zeichet to, a person puts in the time, it could have an effect. Just like we say every Yom Tov, what you do could have effect. Rosh Hashanah, has effect for a whole year. You did it the whole year. Shavuos, you need to know Perus Eilan. The Shlosh says the Perus Eilan are the neshamas. Perus Eilan always refers to the neshamas of a person. It's called Perus Eilan. Right, that's why I mentioned the bracha you make on the new budding of the fruit. Pi Kabbalah is mile all the neshamas of the people that need tikkun. In the world of Kabbalah, but Kaparim Perus Eilan are the neshamas, and that person is makabel Torah properly and puts the time in, it can make his learning go better the entire year. We should be zoiche for that.